think we should make a push for just like subscribers and stuff in the future. So I'm gonna go through tomorrow during the Torrey Pines round and fill in all the thumbnails. 'Cause Mr. Spieth just didn't earn my time with those last year.
If you want, you can just you can make them and send them to me, and I'll throw them in there if that's
Okay.
easier. Because
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'm not doing anything tomorrow, I don't think.
Thanks for that all being on the live stream.
Oh,
Mr.
the
Spieth.
peeps want the behind the scenes access.
And we're happy to give it to him.
Exactly.
Yes. We are a podcast by the people for the people.
And if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, press the damn button.
Well said.
Just press it.
Bad things are coming if you don't. No, I'm just kidding.
Hit the
But
bell as well.
hit the
Yes.
bell.
Yeah.
Some video content down the road, maybe. Remember the first year when we were debating a Dan breaking 80 series?
Off-season content there.
That would be some good content. I did
Dan,
eventually break
Dan,
80.
you're in that like working stage of your life where I bet you're not playing too much golf currently.
No, I play in my
Yes.
dreams.
Yes. It's very fair. Um, Dan, you have Instagram. Jordan, do you want to get Twitter and then I'll post all Speed Legion stuff?
I've got it on Twitter as well.
Amazing.
I'm quite worried about the weather tomorrow.
That's well said.
Yeah. For those that are live with us right now. Although it says flood watch, but I'm looking at Thursday and there's no raindrop icons, so that's good.
It's just a watch.
It is just a watch,
It's
although
just
it's
a
a
watch.
flood watch, so you'd expect some rain, but just potentially not flood-esque rain.
Imagine all the delays just work out so that Spieth gets to play in the warm temperatures.
That'd be beautiful. It is funny
Yeah.
too, because I think after this week it's supposed to warm up and be sunny.
I
So
found it so funny that with how well the splits were looking, Spieth still found a way to get the poor wave last week.
oh, not surprising. I mean, Spieth was the unluckiest player on property last week.
Constantly is.
Yes, it's very common.
Only he's usually he
It's
wasn't
always it's always nice when you
Spieth
see
unlucky, Schauffele always unlucky.
Yeah, it's all said.
Two most unlucky players on planet Earth.
is my mic loud?
Yeah, it's all good. Xander won two majors last year and was still unlucky.
Yeah, could have had three.
Exactly. And he got the, rough wave in both those majors.
Do do do.
Xander was very due though. In hindsight.
Yeah, he's in a weird spot this year with the
Yeah,
injury and all that.
that
Yeah.
injury is tough.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I might rule him out for Augusta already, just because he's starting so late.
There's one person I've not ruled out from Augusta.
Is he the captain of the High Flyers?
Well, that's not the person I had in mind, but that's certainly a correct statement.
Is it the captain of Legion 23, 13?
I certainly haven't ruled him out. I feel
I think
like,
I think he's referring to the one, the only.
well, I wish I could be referring to the one, the only, but the captain of the Cleeks isn't exempt somehow. So,
Oh, Mr.
uh,
Keimer?
yes,
Mr.
That's
Keimer,
ridiculous.
will he be
we will
at?
see him in 2029 as he puts his way around the Piners crowd yet again.
Yes. The rumblings apparent the murmurs are always going around Pinehurst that Keimer has a charge in him.
The Spieth murmurs last week were not quite as big, but
No, I
But
mean,
certainly there was noteworthy of the revival of a great champion.
the folks at Pinehurst were going crazy for Keimer. I mean, they were just feeding into the potential of a charge.
It was funny
yes.
when Bob and some of his other friends, we were up in the bleacher to watch Keimer tee off with Spieth on Saturday. And I think Keimer hit an iron like right down the middle and just got an absurdly loud roar from Bob and his camp. And it was funny. And then you guys were on the march, and a bunch of people on the first tee were like, "Man, Keimer's fans are out and about today," or something like that.
They were. They were. Jet and I really led the charge.
I was like, "You gotta be kidding me with that." Keimer outdueled Spieth on Saturday.
I don't know, but he certainly outdueled him for the tournament. I'm pretty sure. Unless Keimer had like he was like T8 going on Sunday. Though Spieth wasn't bad.
No, I can't remember.
Spieth was 8 over for the week, shot 74 on Saturday.
With the best
Hunter
ball
shot
striking I've
77.
ever seen.
Yeah,
It was a tough weekend for Keimer.
It was.
He shot 10 over.
Speaking of tough weekends, tough weekend for the field this weekend in Adelaide as Mr. Mickelson is back out and about.
yes. Good to see him
Yes.
healthy, ready to roll. Obviously, he
Yes.
doesn't need the reps for Augusta, but
No.
reps never hurt Mr. Mickelson.
No. I'd argue
Probably,
he's on the short list at
oh yeah,
Augusta.
by far. I mean, if you think about it, the illness he had was a 3 week illness for any other human. But
It's true.
those recover gummies and
Coffee for
he's
wellness.
coffee for
Coffee for
wellness.
wellness.
And he's back in action already. I mean, I gotta get me some of those blueberries
Did
or
you
cherries.
did you rip mentions for Spieth Legion,
I
Mister?
did
Thank
on the
you.
Instagram. I did not on the Twitter.
Thank you for that photo of myself.
You're very welcome. Just you look happy, so
I am happy, and that's why we can start the episode. There are many reasons to be happy.
I'm happy. Monday through Wednesday is a drag.
This is why
Always.
the PGA Tour should have the top players, should have a media person out there for the top players all week.
I have
yes.
to agree with that.
If the
Very
golf
much.
media isn't going to cover the Jordan Spieths of the world on Monday through Wednesday, why can't there be someone out there?
Yeah. Tour does a good job trying to shrink the game. It's commendable.
I certainly wouldn't say that my coverage last week was a bad thing for the tour.
No.
No.
I was
One of your
promoting their product.
yeah, one of your posts got a good few thousand likes.
Yeah, one of my posts got like 8,000 likes,
Yeah.
and then
And
got
we
put all over Golf Channel on Sunday.
With credit,
Yes,
it's good.
shockingly.
Yeah, we know a specific tweet from Ryan was not given credit when it was shared on
Yes,
a
that's well
competitor
said.
podcast.
Yes, we're not gonna say who, what, where, when, what the stat was, but it was a stat that was stolen. So, but with that, I think it is time.
I can record.
Let me give you permissions. All right. Here we go.
Here we go.
Good morning, good evening, good night. everyone who's tuned in to episode 139 of the Go Get That podcast. We are here live. We've had a few live episodes recently, but we are here live just because that's how the schedule worked. It is a new hope for Jordan Spieth, so that means we are back to hopefully 2 episodes, or at least when he's back-to-back weeks, preview and recap, because we are a podcast for the people, by the people, so we will give the viewers what they want. And what the viewers want is exactly how Jordan Spieth performed last week. Hopefully, that's exactly how he performs this week. I have my thoughts from last week that I'm sure I'll get into, but starting with this week, I have some concerns and some reasons for hope. Um, One is that the way Jordan Spieth played golf at the Waste Management was fantastic U.S. Open golf. And that's the kind of golf you need to win around here. The problem is the weekend the driver left him a bit, and that is not going to get it done at Torrey Pines. You can't miss the fairway and get creative because it is a stupid designed golf course. And but it is going to be a challenge. It does test the players. It's hard. You got to hit the green. You got to hit the green. And he did that well last week. His irons were magnificent. And I'm really looking forward to what he has in store come Thursday.
Yeah, I got to give credit where credit's due because our good friend Ryan of the podcast um, said what you just said that when you miss the fairway, you can't get creative here. I think that is absolutely perfectly said because I
My
mean we'll
my
get into our
apologies for not
no,
crediting
you're good.
Ryan.
You're good. You're good. But
He's
he
getting
sent
too
that
much of that recently.
yeah, he's getting too much credit. But I think that's so perfectly stated because we'll get into our picks later in the podcast. I'm doing my research for this week, and I don't think you need to hit fairways to win. You got to hit it long, but when you do miss the fairway, you're exactly right. And what he said, you can't get creative. There's really not a whole lot of creativity with just how deep the rough is. I mean, you just got to advance it and pray. It's not like Scottsdale, where if you're in the desert or if you're in the rough, you got something you can play for. It's just, hit it in advance at Torrey. So I think how he put it, you can't get creative, and that's what Jordan Spieth has obviously made a career off of. You can't do that. So big week for the driver. Dan and I were talking in the Phoenix recap that he still he didn't drive it well last week, and the numbers still really weren't even that bad, which I think is a really good sign for Spieth fans. Didn't drive it great, but he still gained strokes 3 of the 4 days. Sunday was obviously not a very good day, but yeah, he's going to need to hit. You can't really score. You can make pars when you miss the fairway, but you can't make your birdies around Torrey if you're not hitting the
I
fairway.
would like to bring up a point that you bought, and that is hitting it long. This is a bomb and gouge golf
Yeah.
course, which most courses are on tour. It's what Scottsdale is to an extent, just because of how long it is. Not that Scottsdale is like Torrey Pines, but if you hit it long, you can really, again, it just most golf courses favor long hitters now, and this is something that really got my tingles tingling earlier this week as I was thinking about this
Tingles.
when I was reading Andy Lack's preview. Andy Lack, friend of the program, brilliant human being, and he's low on Spieth this week, and I think it's fair. I do think that Spieth fans, especially my followers, need to be brought down a little bit back down to earth. Um, in terms of this week, people saying, "Oh, he's going to win." I think that's definitely a possibility. However, the thing that really got my tingling is the part in his article when he said that Spieth doesn't play um, long, tough courses well. And I was like, yeah, but what's the difference between his game now and not and before? And I was thinking, wow, we have not seen a at least semi-hindered Jordan Spieth with his new distance.
Yeah.
And that could be a dangerous, dangerous thing because if he is hitting his irons like he did in his prime, he'll never putt like he did in his prime again. That's something that nobody will probably ever do again. Those numbers are unachievable, especially without Green's books. Those numbers were absolutely flat out ridiculous. And in a part got him to where he was for sure. But his irons are definitely something that he can still achieve. Um, and last week was very, very good. But if he is hitting his irons well with the new distance, I mean, he is a very long hitter now. He is one of the longest hitters now on tour.
He's a
And
bomber.
he's a bomber. And that combined with his as not he doesn't need to be prime, but close to prime irons is a very, very dangerous golfer, even if he goes the rest of his career just being a streaky putter. So I think that Torrey Pines could set up for Spieth in the future. I'd be completely fine if he never goes back again, however, be just because I think it's a horrible golf course. But I know Dan said he is in the course fit category this week. And I think that that is very scary for the tour
Of course.
that Mr. Spieth could find ball striking like he used to have, while also this new acquired distance.
I mean, that's well laid out. It's going to be a little bit different this week, I think, because it's going to have to be the length is nice, but the straightness is going to have to be important.
Oh, for
Especially
sure,
with
for sure.
this wrist, it's going to be cold, the rough's going to be thick.
I
I'm
think
not
that's a
sure, and
major
wet.
part.
Thick and wet, not a great combo for a wrist that has been surgically repaired, probably what, 4 or 5 months ago. So, um, I guess it's kind of one of those things where we're still in sort of wait and see mode in a lot of these tournaments, is like, how's the wrist going to react to the weather, the situation, the course, the rough. Um, but I think in theory, you could get a week where he's a stallion off the tee. And if the approach is what the approach is, then it's gonna go pretty well. Because I think and just in general for any golfer, if you're playing well, you're not gonna, if you're truly playing well, you're not gonna have like an atrocious week at a course. Like the course fit doesn't completely overrule the playing well. Maybe it harms you from winning, but you're still
Yeah.
gonna put up a respectable week.
The,
And I think that's probably the goal here, is a week of respect and no injury. And hey, it'd be a bonus to, I think, have one of those weeks of serious contention on Sunday.
the driver is interesting because last week, obviously, he told the media after the tournament. I forget if this is in one of the questions I asked, but he said that he cracked his driver. And
That was a you question.
Was that reported during the week?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't hear that until he told me that, and
It is funny
because
though,
I
because he was
sent to the
testing those heads
chat,
on Monday.
I sent to the chat the him testing the heads, and and Jordan responded with a photo of the putting strokes gains. But I think it was interesting that after that he said, I'm fiddling with a bunch of new clubs here, but I have the tools to get the driving. He says the driver swing feels good, and he just needs a little more confidence with it, and thinks he has the tools to get it there fairly quickly. So, yeah, the driver wasn't great last week, but it makes me feel a little bit nicer that misses came in stretches. It was a left miss for a few holes and a right miss. It just felt like he was trying to overcompensate for the miss. I think if he can get down a confident driver swing this week, we could see a really good off the tee Jordan Spieth, and the irons are half as good as they were last week with those with a driver, and he'll be right there on Sunday for sure.
Yeah. Jordan and I talked a little bit about some concerns potentially with the putter. Hopefully, it not being a quote unquote pop week which would be kind of a low
Mm,
ceiling for the putter if last
this is
week was
fair.
like
This is
one
very
of
fair.
truly one of those pop weeks, but we haven't seen any consistency out of that area of the game in many, many moons. But who knows? Maybe Mr. Mills is the
The
answer
good
here.
news is if a pop week is the first week using a new putter, at the very least he's got confidence going into this week. That's at
Yeah.
the very least. So I think that
You had,
there's
you had
something to be
Poa
said
Greens
about that.
though. That's not the Poa Greens aren't great, but
Yeah, it's true.
And Mr. Mills is a little bit more de-lofted than the OG, which apparently is not good for Poa, which was mentioned twice on the broadcast by Trevor Immelman this past week. So
I
we'll see.
don't think it matters for Spieth too much because I think he just didn't forward press it as much. Um,
Really?
that's
That
what
is
it
an
seemed like to
interesting
me.
take. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I just didn't notice that.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
didn't even
watch
think
now.
about it until now. I was just like, this is not as much forward press as he used to do, and maybe it's just because it was a more delofted putter. But that is very true. That statistically is a thing where if on bumpier greens, the more delofted it is, because again, you're hitting down on the ball, and you're gonna hit
Yeah,
more
you're gonna
bumps.
catch
But
more bumps if
yeah,
it's on the ground more.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the still though, like Poa greens on tour are still fairly
I mean,
pure,
yeah,
rare.
but
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
I was
No,
gonna say rare.
the
yeah,
forward press
I
is
did
interesting.
certainly notice that he was forward pressing at the very least, just like from my memory. Like
No,
maybe not since last week, but I did notice that.
no, it's definitely there. Now that I think about it,
He
because
also doesn't forward press as a trigger anymore. Like he sets up in the forward press.
well, yeah, even which is huge because that's important for consistency. But even like the
Agreed.
5 footers, when he would look at the hole, it was like everything was set, and then the head would come up, and then it'd be a putt. And I feel like there was a very
That's
clear like
pretty
this
chills.
is set for 1 second. All right. He's looking, making sure it's set, and then it's there and go. Where I think a lot of times before it was hand press, look up, go, like very fluid. And I think unfortunately we needed a little bit more kind of structure in the routine and the setup. And I mean last week obviously is just 1 week, but it seems like we it seems like Jordan
We
made some progress
absolutely
in that
we
area.
absolutely
Yes.
we.
Well,
I wanted to.
Mr. Before you move on, Jordan, Mr. Borgman made a case that with his new driving distance, maybe Mr. Spieth would be a good fit for Crusher's GC in the
I mean, I
future.
called him a bomber, so yeah. I mean, they go
Yes.
kind of hand in hand. I did want to touch on one thing though. I know you were mentioning. Good friend of the podcast, Andy Lack, saying that Spieth isn't a great fit for these long, brutal tests of golf. I just would like to say that Mr. Spieth, we saw it in person at Pinehurst last June. Mr. Spieth was fourth in the field at a very long testing golf course in strokes gained ball striking. So I mean, even at Oak Hill, he hit it pretty well too. He just, pardon my French, he can't putt worth a freaking damn at these. I mean, like he can get around these long golf courses with his ball striking. He just hasn't, put it all together and putted well.
Well,
So, like, I
yeah, I
get
think
the
that's a big story for the majors this year. Is Spieth hasn't putted well at a major in many moons.
yeah, it's. I bring up the stats all the time. Yeah, it's rough.
It's an absurd amount of moons. Like you go back and you look at majors, and I think it's 7 in a row now. Uh, and it's kind of ridiculous. But to your point, Jordan, like,
6 of
and
7.
kind of tying to Bob's earlier point, this new length has resulted in pretty good ball striking at some of these big boy courses and majors.
Yeah,
Um, and if it's dialed in this week, I mean, we'll see, right? Maybe just Torrey off for his eye just isn't great, but he hit it pretty well there in 19, or it's like, excuse me, 21 at the U.S. Open.
He
So
did.
it's not like he has never done it before. Different golf course then. I think the wet, kind of colder a little bit is what concerns me about this week. In terms of his ability to kind of repeat the levels that we saw last week, but I think it's doable. Like it's not is he's a different golfer than he was in 15 through 17 in terms of like what his peak is. There's definitely a more like modern approach to his game now, where it's like there is a bomber and there is a still in this when he's healthy, some really good iron play. And then obviously the creativity and the DNA and that kind of stuff hasn't changed, but he's definitely kind of beefed up a little bit and more ready for the new age golf course.
So that's well put. Yeah, we were discussing last week going into Phoenix how there was a lot of optimism, and you guys were saying it was a big week just because like the course history's been there, been good there, and he's coming off of T69. And it's like we need a good week. This week's weird because like you got terrible course history. You got, which I think is the biggest concern this week, is the wet rough, 4 inches, wet, new wrist, going to be cold out there. It feels like there's more going against him this week in terms of like uncontrollable things. I mean, going into Phoenix, I don't think there was much going against him that was out of his control. Conditions were fitting for him. A place he's played well at this week. We have, you got some good with, second and strokes gained approach coming into this week. Some confidence, putted well. And then you got on the other side, a golf course he hasn't played well at, along with the conditions. I had a follower say, like, what's the goal this week? To just make the cut? And I'm thinking to myself, I think we got to be a little bit more optimistic than that, just because it's
Well,
one of
there
those
isn't a
weenie.
cut, right?
There is. It's like the weenie cut, the Masters cut,
Oh,
where it's like
We
10 back and like top 60 in ties and like a 70 something man field. But it's like you would think off a T4, even with, all the stuff that's going against him, you'd hope for more than just a made cut this week. Plus, um, you'd like to build off last week in some regard. I mean, he's second in strokes gained approach last week. You really shouldn't, expect that to completely plummet unless he's just missing fairways all over the place, and it's tough to really get good strokes gained approach numbers when you're not playing from the
yeah, I
fairway.
think that I think the way I'm looking at this week is that I don't think you can take a numbers based approach at it in terms of a goal. I think that when you have a week like last week, it's his first time playing well in many moons, coming off a pretty poor week. You have there's so much good that came out of that week that maybe we just try and see two of the like we saw basically we saw three parts of his game perform really well and the fourth perform well the first 27 holes and I think maybe we just say okay let's see um a few good putts drop. Let's see 3.5 4 feet and then be good. Let's see the driver improve. Let's see the irons not plummet. Let's see like let's just see let's see something that makes it like evident that last week was not a one-off. And Spieth did say to the media after that he felt like um he was super happy that it didn't feel like this was a fluke week. And I think I'd just like to see that come to fruition this week. I don't really care where he finishes. If he finishes T6 because he putts really well, fine. If he finishes T27 because he can't hit a fairway one of the days and shoots 74, whatever. But I think that it really can't be a finish based goal this week. I think you really need to be patient. Spieth did say many times um, after rounds that he felt way ahead of his comeback, and I think that we should be happy about that, and not that we should settle for a midweek, but I think that we should really just see reasons to believe that last week was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's that sums it up pretty well, right? Obviously, there's the idea of momentum, which frankly we haven't really had in a season in a long time. And this could be an opportunity to kind of keep some momentum. You talked about the consistency or the idea that it wasn't really a one-off. I think the consensus last week was that it feels pretty stable going forward. So that's good, but obviously back it up would be this would be a good place to back it up because if he backs it up here, then it's like, well, yeah, he doesn't typically play pretty well here, and he just did. And now we've got 2 good weeks under the belt, got some time to go home and clean up a few things before the Florida swing as we kind of get into the Masters. But I think the other, and I don't like going to this kind of line of thought, but given that it's only the third tournament, I think it's important that kind of the underlining, uh, not I don't know if bare minimum is the right way to like categorize it, but please just be healthy after this week. Like no issues with the wrist. Like, and I know that's probably the bare minimum ask
It's not
and
poorly
It's a
said,
fair
and
ask.
desire,
especially
because
in the conditions.
but we've seen like healthy a week ago at really good conditions leads to really good golf. Like
And
it's there.
and then
And
we
that can
could
all go
get.
away so quickly if one swing, one whatever just takes it
Agree.
away.
And
If we were 8 months removed, I wouldn't be thinking about it, but I think it's so important to kind of keep that
and
in
you're right.
consideration.
In 8 months we won't be thinking about it like that, but
Hopefully.
it is at the end of the day the reality that for the rest of his career, like it could happen. It could get stiff on a cold day and hurt, and something poor could happen. But you are right that listen, we get through this week no matter what happens, and Spieth can find what he found last week. We have two very, very winnable golf tournaments at courses Jordan Spieth likes a lot at the Valspar and the API. And he likes that stretch a lot more than he does the Genesis Torrey Pines stretch. Um, so I'm really looking forward to it's not a short term thing for me. I think this could be a very fun season if we just stay healthy. And it's a great point, Dan, because you know we get we get very excited, but it's also 1 week, and the most important thing is that he's healthy because we've now seen what happens when he is healthy and it's not bothering him. Um, how good he really is again, and he's got two Florida swing tournaments where the conditions will be nice. They'll be warm. It'll be there really won't be any cause for stiffness there, and that's really exciting. So I think that you're right. I think that if we get out of here and he's fully healthy, it's tough to really look at it like the week's a complete failure.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's well put.
it would be tough to not have a tee time on Saturday or Sunday,
Yeah,
right? Like
Oh, that's very true.
that's still very much lingering as like you weren't within 10 of the lead. Which sometimes happens, right? Somebody just goes nuclear and that's where we're at. But uh, the top 60 thing, there's some dudes in that field that you're like, all right.
I can throw
You
you some names. Yeah,
should be able to.
you should be the best of the sponsor exemptions. That's for sure.
Yeah, you should be able to beat them by a few shots this week. So,
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
see. We'll go from there.
I'm in the same frame of mind because I get obviously health is first. I mean, that's obviously I think the number one thing. Get through it healthy. It's a different style of golf that he's played. Pebble and Scottsdale aren't the same, so get out healthy. But at the same time, I think Brian brought up there's all this, including this week. We only have 5 more tournaments before the Masters. So it's not like you just want to throw one away. And I think most importantly, what I'm really looking forward to this week is the driver because I don't want to say it was an excuse, but he was kind of pointing towards like, yeah, it was cracked. Like, he was kind of alluding to that being a large part of the reason why I think it didn't go very well. So I'd assume, of course, Bob has been, we've kind of been hammering this that, maybe there should be a media member on the ground covering Spieth every single week so we know what's going
Well
on. But
said.
Yeah, I think he needs to start driving it better because I think a problem for Spieth in the past has been, and why he hasn't been, really good in a long time is when he has an issue, it fails to get corrected quickly. And it's not like I wouldn't say the driver's like a massive issue right now. I mean, he still gained strokes last week, but if you want to win, it's got to be better than what it was on Sunday last week. So I think it's important that, he gets a a driver head that he's comfortable with. Clearly, didn't figure that out at Scottsdale. Get one that he's comfortable with and, drive at like 24 speed this week and really get that issue put away. I think that's a really good goal outside of, getting away from this week healthy.
Yeah. You mentioned it on the recap too. It's like it's been 17 of 19 that he's gained, right? With off the
Off
tee.
the tee. Yeah.
So, there's not, and you just said it, there's not like a large reason for concern, but I think we'd feel awesome if this week was another good week. He hit the ball really well. If he doesn't win because he doesn't make putts or some tough breaks or somebody just has one of those weeks. It's like, hey, we've got momentum, we feel good, can go back to Dallas, hit some balls off the mat, up the grass, hopefully weather's better in Dallas, and get ready for Florida. Like that's I think kind of where we're at. I don't want to like rule out a win, but it
No.
that's not um
Let me ask you a question, Dan and Bob.
yeah,
And like, here's a lot of reason for optimism. If he drives it well this week, why would he not be in the picture come the weekend?
putting.
Yeah, I mean, he could miss everything, which I wouldn't rule
Uh
out. But
that would be my concern. I also we don't have a great sample size from the short game this year. It's been fine, but because a lot of that has had the last 5 rounds in particular, it's been a lot of middle of the greens and some good shots to 15, 20 feet, which we'll play this week. Uh, but I think there could be a little bit of not rust in that area, but just sort of some shots he hasn't had to hit in a while, some flops or
yeah, no,
whatever
I
it
get
might
that. You're
be,
going to be scrambling more this week than you
some wet
probably were in the
some
last
wet
2 weeks.
bunkers out there. Like, what if the wrist just locks up again? Uh, and
Yeah,
I think too, the other thing, like Sunday and Saturday, I think last week were good because they got some of the nerves out, but he was still a little quick on Sunday. Like he didn't hit some great shots on Sunday. I know he scrapped out a 68 and it wasn't kind of as roller coastery as it has been in the past, but doesn't mean that if he gets in contention again on Sunday, it's all gonna go flawlessly. So um we'll see. But I think that would my number one answer would be putter. And then the second answer would be not enough sample size in recent memory of like being in that spot, hitting the short game shots needed, uh that kind of stuff. So
that's fair. Yeah, and we get back to the whole health thing here. I know we said it locked up at Spyglass. This is not the venue where you want the wrist to lock up because we saw how he played after it locked up at Spyglass, and Spyglass is a whole lot easier of a golf course than Torrey Pines South. And he played really brutal golf after it locked up. So, yeah, I think it's still a health. I think this is a big week for the health because, again, as I kind of said earlier, we haven't seen him play a golf course like this yet. I mean, Pebble, it's actually kind of funny. We look at the 3 golf courses he's played in this stretch, they're all like completely different from each other. Um, well, I think it's at least 2 different grass types, not to get into the agronomy nerd that I am, but at least 2 different grass types. I mean, just 3 different scoring styles as well.
yeah, three very
Um,
different tournaments.
yeah. So it'll be, I think, health first, and then I think the three of us have kind of laid out some ulterior goals. But I think we're all in agreement. Like, we should expect more than I think just making the cut based off of how we played last week, I think.
Yeah. There's yes, I think we've covered that pretty well.
Yeah.
And I think it's also just like the desire for continued momentum. Like it'd be
Yeah, I
so
think
nice to roll out with, I mean, obviously a win, but like you roll out with a T12 and you feel like you played some pretty good golf for most of the week and you're feeling like, man, like the season could be, we just have reason for optimism.
yeah,
So,
I mean
There's
it's
a
one
lot of
thing.
reason for optimism.
Yeah, I mean it's one thing last week if he fluked his way around to the score he did by just making everything, being first in the field and putting, but like you expect when you're hitting it as well as he did with his irons and wedges for that to continue.
But
agreed. Any
yeah,
other,
I think that Phoenix definitely sets up to his eye very nicely.
Yeah, it does.
Um, so I wouldn't say there's no reason to think that he won't do it to that level, but I certainly think that there shouldn't be the shots from Pebble in the bag anymore. Like those should be gone.
That's
well,
the hope.
I think that's barring health, some of that. So that's where I think it's tough to tell though too, because I think some of the shots at Pebble were, I don't feel comfortable in my left wrist. And it's hard to tell how much of it was rust versus how much of it was kind of, I'm not sure what my wrist is feeling right now. And so if it does just lock up, then I'm not sure that some of those shots are avoidable in that way. But we just have to kind of figure it out, or he'll have to figure it out like on the fly and see how that goes.
Yeah, we're not figuring out anything.
Yes. But we are enjoying all of the successes as a we.
Correct. The failures are on him. The successes are a team effort between him and the podcast.
Right. That's extremely well said.
This is a no accountability podcast.
True.
Do
I
we, I was gonna ask if you have any, because I know the flood watch is in the area, and I know I'm normally a weather guy, but
and the weatherman.
will there
Yeah,
be like delays tomorrow? Like, what are we potentially looking at here?
yeah. I don't know what's going on. So I'm on the good old Apple weather app, which is historically terrible, but it's just a quick thing. It says there's a flood watch in San Diego, but you look at Thursday and you don't really see any of those raindrops until like 2:40 local time. And he's off at what, 11 local, I think.
I
Yeah,
think that's
11 something
correct.
local. Um, yeah, I think he should. I mean, the golf course is going to be soft because they're getting rain and have. I mean, today it was like a. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the video of him out there on the range, but he was putting on those pants that you only see at the Open typically. So I mean, it was a test of golf out there today. But yeah, it's going to be soft, and I think if it's soft, that lends to, in terms of difficulty, maybe some easier greens, but you got to hit it far off the tee, and if you're missing fairways, you're going to be even in more trouble. But no, to get back to your original question, I think we'll avoid a delay. I hope.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't look like there's any thunder, so that's good because if there's any of that, it's an immediate um, delay of play.
A
So I think we're
halt.
going to avoid that, which is good.
Yeah. I'm looking at Thursday now, and it looks like the rain won't really start coming in until 6 o'clock local. So 5 o'clock local. So hopefully it'd probably be some sprinkles and whatnot, but hopefully it's playable. It's gonna be kind of a gnarly day tomorrow. 15-mile-an-hour winds, a little rain,
Yeah.
soft, long golf course, thick rough. Like that's, I think what Torrey plays to 72, right? Or is
Yep,
it 70? So if
72
you're
for
feeling
the
pretty
farmers.
pretty pretty good if you're getting around there in the 69 tomorrow.
Yeah, heck yeah. I was actually looking because it's the same conditions in terms of rough and like the cut of rough and everything else. Farmers played tough. Um, when was the Farmers? Like about a month ago now?
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
It played to 73.68 and the winning score was 8 under. So yeah, it played pretty darn tough. Torrey usually plays tough, but I mean this year it played especially tough.
Yeah.
So it seems like they've gotten some rain, so maybe it'll make it a little bit easier. But I mean, it's the first real golf course where we've played all year where par on most tour holes is going to be a pretty darn good score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of fun actually. Like I'm excited for that. Uh, there's nothing quite like par and feeling good about making a solid four, moving on.
Or
Gaining
three.
half a shot on the field by making a four. So, um,
I mean,
should
I
be
like that though.
enjoyable. That's what I'm saying. I think that's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I really can't watch much tomorrow. I got all day Friday, but um, yeah, thanks, Ellis. Anything else, anyone?
I no, I mean besides triple double, no, I don't got I think anything else. Um, if you want to get into
No.
triple double, I'm ready to roll with that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope y'all get to watch more than it seems like we're gonna get to watch. But
Do we know the coverage tomorrow? Because that's obviously what I get asked about most. And like I haven't really looked at it yet. I mean, I've heard some bickering with the PGA Tour Live folk, but
I think it my guess is it's gonna be mostly the TV coverage tomorrow.
okay,
Um,
I'm looking
so
now.
and then I think Friday should be featured, but look, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah,
So
it's looking like a whole lot of nothing tomorrow, right?
yeah, I don't think he's on any of the ESPN Plus stuff.
Sweet, nice. And he won't be on the main feed either because those just show the freaking featured groups.
Yeah, but when's the
So
TV coverage start? Should be 4 hours because it's
four o'clock,
signature. 4 to 7.
8.
Yeah, okay, there we go. And Speed's off at 2.
Yeah, I think 2:03
Yeah.
Eastern.
So you'll see back nine a little more. So
Yeah, I'm gonna. The back's the easier side, right? It's been a few years since we've teed it up at this venue.
I can't remember which side is
Great
easier.
ears.
The front is tricky. I know four is a brute of a golf hole.
Yeah.
Uh, four will be good there. Every day. 6 and 9 are the two par fives. Both are brutally long, so that's gonna be fun. Uh,
Looks
I
like
can't
the
off the
back.
top of my head, I can't tell you which one's harder.
I'm just looking. It looks like the back's tougher
Okay.
because you get 6, which is I think the easiest hole on the golf course. And then you get, I mean, 9 is 622 yards. So, but yeah, I'm just looking from 2025 Farmers. It looks like the back plays trickier.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll keep that in mind. He's off one tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, I
Thursday.
mean, they're both tough. Like, when I say like trickier, I mean they're both. This is a tough golf course. I mean, 8 under one, the Farmers. So yeah, I mean anything. Trust if he shot 4 rounds of under par golf this week, that'd be phenomenal. So
I
I don't
mean,
know if that's a fair ask, but
might win the golf tournament if that's the case.
yeah. I mean, English won. I mean, granted, those the North Course one day, but English shot over par 2 different days and won the golf tournament. So
Yeah.
not probably not a very fair ask, but
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be nice if he didn't shoot above 74 all week or something like that.
The only
Yeah.
way I walk out this weekend, I'm really, really mad is a miscut.
Yeah, he should not freaking miss the you can't iron it how he did and possibly miss the cut unless the driver got worse and he just makes absolutely nothing. Like there should not be a path to a missed cut, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope.
That's yeah, I think we hope. But it's still
Let's
too
just
early
say
to
he's kept low expectations, but he will be pissed if he misses the cut, I'd assume.
agreed. Well said. I'm ready for triple double.
Yeah, I am. Dan, you're leading if you want to go first, or do you want me to go first since I threw mine in first?
I'll go
Or
first. I've got my picks in there. Um, was kind of doing it right as we were going live here, but Bob McIntyre lost 7.5 shots putting when he played the Farmers last year. He's playing pretty well. T6 in Phoenix last week. He actually hit the ball well at the Farmers before, so wet maybe a little windy. Seems kind of Bob Mackey. I don't know. We'll roll with him and go from there. Rory, he's just playing well. I mean, if the best player in the world category was like on a the last 2 month basis, it's probably McIlroy, just because Scotty cut his hand. But um, man, like Rory's just playing well. He's played well here before. Wet golf course, long golf course. That just screams McIlroy, doesn't it? So easy pick, I think, and signature event got to get the monies up. So and then Tony Finau, just burning my Finau's early. He actually, let's see, did he miss the cut here?
It's that your
Uh,
third dude you've burned twice already.
he might have missed the cut here actually because it was Phoenix Pebble. Yeah, so he missed the cut here at the Farmers. He putted better at Pebble. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt that he's gonna putt better this week here. He's played well here before, a couple T5s in the Farmers, and
It's great here.
uh yeah, like wet golf course, you think of Long, you think of Tony Finau. So I think that makes some sense to me.
9 green boxes for Finau on Data Golf and 12 career tries here.
Make it
Tough to
10 out of
go.
13 and the Dan Camp will be happy.
Yeah, no, history would say it's a good pick. Yeah, my picks. Dan's first in the standings. I'm second. I'm what, 800,000 behind. I'm going Rory too. Dan stole it from me. Let it be known, Dan stole Rory from me. My picks were in. We did it our podcast last night reviewing Phoenix. Um, the thing with Rory is you could burn him so many different places. I mean, you got to use him in a signature event or a major. He's number one in my model this week. I think Dan summed it up kind of perfectly. I think he's the best player in the world right now. I do not think Scheffler is the best player in the world right now. Scheffler is a little out of sorts. I don't know how long it's going to take him to, find, the Scheffler that we became accustomed to last year. But for his standards, like he hasn't really contended at the 2 golf courses that he's played so far this year. I think he's still working his way back. And don't love the course fit for him this week, to be 100% honest. Um, I'm going Rory, and then my favorite pick of the week. This guy was popping all over my model, who I was teasing in our Phoenix recap. Minwoo Lee. I think he's in this week on a sponsors exemption, which is funny. I think what is he right now? He's 38th in the Data Golf rankings, 53rd in the world. Love the course fit. He's been playing really good golf as of late too. He's got what, 6 green boxes and 7 tries. 4 of them on the European tour, so a step up in class playing in a signature event. But love the course fit for him, so I'm going Minwoo. I hope he plays well this week to prove my model correct. And then I'm going Mr. Thomas Dietrich, the man who ran away with the Phoenix Open last week. I don't think he's going to win, but he didn't just win last week. He blew everyone away. So he's clearly playing really well. And I don't want to say like I'm blowing a big name using Dietrich. I'm blowing one of the big ones using Rory. But yeah, Dietrich also T5'd at Century too. I didn't really know that until I was looking at his past performances. So not only did he win, he's played well. This is his freaking 6th event this year. Dude needs some time off.
Yeah.
T15'd at the Farmers too. So played well here a few weeks ago. Playing great golf. And I couldn't really figure out who to use for my last pick. Minwoo and Rory were kind of certainties, but I went back and forth on this one a lot. I saw Bob McIntyre. I didn't go with, I think he's actually higher in my model. Yeah, he's 10th in my model. Dietrich's 11th. Um, but something just couldn't draw me to McIntyre. And plus, it's kind of nice that Dan's on someone different than I am. So yeah, those are my 3 plays. I think Bob might have his. I'm not sure if
I
he
do.
does have
I
them
do.
yet. You do? Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Stage
I
floor
do.
is yours.
Oh, my video's off.
Hello,
When did
G.
that happen? That was
Yeet.
yeah, so Ludwig, I'm knocking him out early, sadly, but I think this is the right thing to do. Um,
Can't do
and
worse than how I did
then
for you 2 weeks ago.
yes, hopefully. Then I'm gonna go dark horse. I have no reason not to believe what he said, and he plays well at this golf course. Give me Max Homa.
I was thinking about
Even after
Homa.
the 70 whatever he shot. Um, and then give me Cam Young
Mm,
playing
Ooh.
well. Uh, so yeah,
it's an interesting trio. I kind of dig it though. I was thinking about both Obear and Homa. And Homa, I think he went 74-67. So he played well Friday. Uh, and hopefully that gives him some confidence going into this week. And he's played well here before too. So
Bob is not going chalk early in the year, which I kind of. Bob's gonna have some. I think I did this last year, and I just didn't do a great job, regardless. But Bob is saving some of the stallions for later in the year. Bob's last right now, but I mean, Dan and I are burning a Rory, and Rory, if Rory somehow disappoints this week, that's a big one that another play Bob's gonna have.
yeah.
And Rory's
yeah,
playable a million different places, but yeah, it seems Dan and I are kind of on the same track of thinking. He was number one in my model this week, and I just think he's played well here in the 4 times he's played here. Uh, yeah, he's my pick to win this week. It's tough to go back to back, but I think he's the
Yeah.
best player in the field this week.
Agreed.
yeah.
And he didn't play
That's
last
fine.
week either. Like
He's
I
got
think he
three T top sevens and 4 tries at Farmers, and the other one was a T16. So
It's fair. It's
it's
very
actually
fair.
crazy too. He didn't play Farmers for the first time until 2019, so it's not even a place that he typically plays until recently. He hasn't played since the U.S. Open here either.
Elise, you have to pick.
That's three
Yep.
zeros for Elise. Just kidding.
we'll see. We'll have to monitor, make sure those are in shortly.
Elise has something neither of us three have: children.
Yeah.
That is true. Speaking of children, Mr. Spieth.
Are beans filling?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's our call.
That's not our call. But you can watch the video and make your own assumptions.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it at that. Don't want to have to take the pod down because
Yeah.
we
It seems
we
like it's
we put
public knowledge.
we put two and two together and somehow it turned out to be four, you know. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, maybe who knows? Maybe it's not true. But like I
You don't
said,
Yeah.
assume. I mean, that's
like you said, yeah, that's fair. Not my place to assume. I apologize. Well, I'm not gonna go there. But we'll get this thing back on the tracks and probably end this for now. Unless somebody else
Yeah.
has something fun to
No,
say.
I don't. Apologies for my lack of contribution in the last hour. Just had something come up. I'm trying to deal with that on the side. But regardless, it should be a good week. Again, stay healthy, and it can't be that bad. Stay healthy and make the cut, and there's really no doomsday scenario for the week. But obviously would like to see some better play. So
Well said. And
yeah.
with
Yes, well
that,
put. Only closing thought I have is this ends a 3 week stretch for, Team Spieth, including us. We are part of Team Spieth. 2 weeks off coming up, which kind of sucks. I mean, we'll see if we're saying that Sunday, depending on how this week goes. But after the T4 in Phoenix, it's like we want to keep watching him play. So yeah, 2 weeks off, and then we really hit, I guess, the main course of the season, entering this Florida swing and the Texas swing shortly after that. So yeah, thank you for your guys' viewership. Um,
yeah,
hit the bell, hit the subscribe
Yes, hit the
button. We never
bell.
say that. We've never said that, but we've been
ring
discussing
that
hit the
bell.
subscribe.
Yeah,
We're
we
trying to get
would,
to
and this is not completely selfish. We feel like we more exposure has happened by more subscribers. At the end of the day, the world runs on numbers, and a good percentage of people who watch these are not subscribed. It's not that hard. So if you could hit the bell, notifications on, subscribe, like.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends, all the above. But no, we do appreciate you, especially appreciate you last week from me. I got a lot of support while I was out there. Did my best, especially on Sunday. Hopefully, my marching with the flu uh didn't go unnoticed by the thief camp, but regardless, we will be back on Sunday or Monday. Hopefully Sunday live. But
Oh, come on.
We got close at Phoenix. There was a
That would be
chance.
chills. Yes. We were talking about boycotting Super Bowl plans, but
yeah.
If Spieth would have won, I would have been
If Spieth would have won,
okay.
I would have tried to get him on right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's well said.
Yeah. But regardless, peace, everyone.
Take care.
Yeah. Sorry, gents. Someone
There's
come up,
something
but we're good.
serious come up.
Yeah, a little bit on the serious end, but nothing in alpha male can't dissolve in the coming hours. Just I'm just getting like just a bunch of stuff just stressing me out. Just a lot of work, a lot of people bothering me, but nothing too poor.
Gotcha.
Would trade it all for last weekend again. So but yeah, I'm gonna get to work. Everything seems fine for now. So have a good rest of your all evening.